Hey guys, how are we? In this video we're doing a DIY on the 458 Ferrari. It's going to cover the oil filter change and the oil change itself. This will cover obviously the 2009 to 2015 models, including the Italia and the Speciale. They don't really change as far as like aesthetics. The oil filter location and the drainage points are exactly the same. So I hope you enjoy it. So let's get to it. I'll run through the tools that you're basically going to need real quick. You will need a torch for this one, just to obviously get underneath the car and see what you're doing. I'll show you all these tools and where they're going to be used individually. Okay, so obviously besides the tools that you need, you are going to need your oil filter and your 2 copper washers to do this, and obviously whatever oil you choose. The viscosity that I'm using here in Australia is probably going to be the 5W40 that is recommended, I'm pretty sure, across the board in Ferrari's handbook. Look, I haven't gone with the whole Ferrari shell thing. I've decided to go for this guy right here, the Liquid Moly 5W40. It is recommended by these guys, Liquid Moly themselves. You can look them up on their website. I'll chuck that in the link below to show you that. It's a bit of a misconception that you can't change the oil out. It has to be shell and all the rest of it too, but there's a little bit of backing with this oil too. Recently, the Liquid Moly 12 hour, the Ferrari team do use this oil. That is a very viable source from Liquid Moly rep. It has been allowed for me to say that as well. He did say that I could obviously put it on the video. There's not going to be any better testing on a racetrack. So this is the oil I've gone for. It's been on a racetrack. They pulled it out. They love it. They did a whole 12 hours on the oil. There's nothing better. So for street use, how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong? This is what I'm using. So that's my justification from steering away from the shell, and I'm going to be quite happy with putting that into my car. I probably wouldn't skimp out on anything. Just go a Ferrari genuine filter. That is the number, guys. Mine is the 2010, so I can't speculate if that changed across the model. I wouldn't see why. And look, the Ferrari filter isn't expensive. You're probably talking about $45, $50, somewhere along those lines. And obviously, I did say 2 copper washers, and my brain must have farted when I said that, because you actually need 3. Your 2 T55s, obviously the 2 draining points, and the tank drain as well. So there is 3 washers in there. These things you can either get from anywhere, like an auto parts store, but look, these are genuine Ferrari. When I say genuine Ferrari, look, they get them from somewhere else too. They're just copper washers. So just make sure you get the sizes before you do that. You do want to replace them because they are crush washers. Once they're crushed, that's how they seal. So I wouldn't recommend using the other ones again, for that simple reason that they could leak, and it's not worth the hassle. I have already removed the under tray on this car. It's not a hard process. It is only obviously your Allen key style bit, so I've already done that part, so I won't show you that. It's really simple. If you're getting under the car to do an oil change, you can easily take that rear diffuser off. Now I'm going to do my best to show you guys where you need these tools. What you're going to see here, there's only 2 of these, so that's the only place you're going to need the T27. So that fits these guys. So there's one on either side of this, and this is obviously the front part of this middle section. The other thing you're going to need, obviously, which is 99% of these guys, is going to be your 10 mil. So as you see, there's dimples on this under tray. Any of those are your 10 mils. That's where you're going to need that. Do the whole lot, take 90% of the bolts out, maybe leave one side with a couple bolts in it, maybe one of these ones and one of these ones to support the weight, and I'll leave 2 in here. I'll probably put something at the other end to support the weight of the tray, so I'm not going to do any damage. It's up to you what you use, and that way I can lift it down and push it out. Miscalculation on that one. There actually is 2 of these star bits on either side. Okay, so that's all of them out besides 2, so they're taking the weight of it. It's only plastic, so we've got 2 in there. We can count them out, so you know how many you got to do. 1, 2, 12, 13 of those guys. So there's 2 holding this tray in place now. It is only plastic, like I said, so what I'm going to do is take the weight of it. It's probably easier underneath the tray itself. I don't have the car very high, so just basically it doesn't weigh anything. It's just plastic. Hold the weight of the tray and remove your last 2 bolts from the middle. So I've left mainly the middle bolts left, so it takes the weight kind of evenly So that guy, and that is the tray released. Okay, so that's the under tray released. What you will notice, obviously, there is vents attached to the under tray that push air into the engine compartment that cool down, obviously, the motor entirely, and obviously it looks like they're directed at the extractors or the exhaust headers of the car. So, look, there's no point actually undoing them. So these are the vents I'm talking about. See them on either side?
You've got your 1/2-inch drive, your extension, your 22mm, and the T55 star bit. So what we're doing and why we need these, if you can see here, the drainage points for the car when you are changing the oil. So you've got the reservoir drain there, or oil tank if you want to call it, and then you've got, so this one and this one here. So that's those right there. So keep in mind as well, guys, that this is a 10-litre system of oil. I don't think there's going to be a real process to this. You can either do this guy first, or you can do these two. It's the 3 drain points that you have to actually do. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with this one. So I have a rag on the ready because this is going to get rather messy. So you can obviously move this drainage tray up as well, and you can do 2 at a time. The last one is a little bit too far away, so I'd probably recommend leaving that one. So off camera, I did clean up these sump plug bolts, and I have put 2 new washers on these guys as well. Now, myself, I do like to clean these, obviously, just a little bit of brake cleaner. You might have an aerosol or actual workshop one. Give them a bit of a clean off, and you want to do these guys up. Keeping in mind that this is aluminium, all aluminium, so don't go crazy, just do it like you would do a normal sump plug up, or refer to the Ferrari manual, or possibly online specs to the Newton meters if you're going to be that fussy, but realistically just tighten it till it pulls tight, and I would basically give it a bit of a quarter turn. Back to your 22mm for this guy. Again, not over tightening. Nip it up and a small turn. That's it. Last one. Okay, so now we're down to the last of them. Basically the last T55. Clean your bolt off, put your new washer on. Always do this stuff by hand, don't use any rattle guns, not that you would be stupid enough to. Give it a bit of a clean off, and just like a maybe 1/8 of a turn with pressure on it, and that's it. So obviously we did see that we did this one up, and this one up. If you are worried, you can obviously always mark them with a paint pen, just so you know you've gone over them, if you're that sort of person that you're inclined to forget. Okay, so now for the next part, top of the motor. This guy here is your oil filter cover. To do that one, you're going to need a rather large socket. Basically that's a 1 1/4 inch socket, so you're going to need that size to remove the actual oil filter cap. If you don't have that, I would just getting one of those first. Basically grab yourself a cloth, because when you do remove this, there is going to be some residual oil on the cap and everything too, so it's better to stuff the cloth down here, so when you do take it off, basically you can catch any oil, so it's not going to drip down the motor. So let's remove the oil filter. So we're just stuffing that cloth around the actual oil filter itself. So I'm going to use a long extension here so that I not get my hands in the way. So that's obviously got the oil filter and everything with it. Another one I would suggest too, if you can, there is not a lot of room down here. You could probably grab a secondary rag.
basically reach down. That is your oil filter there. So like I said, now you can rest it on that rag. So let's go swap that one out and show you how that's done. Your oil filter that I removed from the car. It does just pull out like that, it just unclips. So basically that's your holder. That's your old oil filter. Is basically just give this cover a quick clean. Again, just your brake cleaner, don't use a degreaser. This stuff obviously just cleans and sort of evaporates. Get all the oil off of it. With the new oil filter, you get an O-ring. So you want to be replacing this O-ring too. You can either use your nails to get in there and grab it like that, and that's the old one. My hands are going to hate me after this. I strongly recommend using gloves whenever you work with these materials, whether it be oil or any sort of liquids that are going into a car. They are not good for you at all. New O-ring seats in the bottom half of that, so push it all the way down, and it's in the last one. You would have seen where you took it off, so it's in the last seat there where it sits around. You want to put this unit in all as one. Clips into that section, that one clips into there. It's on. One thing I will say, obviously changing other oils with setups like this, bit of a known thing. To put a little bit of oil around this O-ring, you tend to find if you don't, and obviously what you're screwing it to, it can grab, and you won't know if you actually damage that O-ring or if you rip it. Bit of oil, that's where we removed it, you can see that. So basically, like I said, you want to put the unit back in as a whole. So tuck in there, drop it in, and do this by hand. Don't ever do it with the socket wrench. For the simple fact is, it is plastic, and you can easily strip that thread if it's not going in the right way. So at least you know by hand, if it's not screwing up, you're not doing it right. It does say, I think, about 5 Newton meters on this one. So 5 Newton meters is literally nothing. Okay, so now we're going to put the oil in the car. This is the place to do it. Ferrari. If you're not sure, the 458 does take 10 liters of oil. I'm not going to show you how to do the checking procedure, but I will run through it at the end of the video. Probably recommend putting about 9 to 9.5 liters in, running the car, and then topping up from there. Okay, and then that's that. Okay, so I did say I was going to run through the oil checking procedure. I'm not going to do that today because I'm doing other things on the car and I don't currently want to start the car, so that's why I've left out a little bit of the oil. So basically what you want to do, this oil level has to be checked when the car is basically warm and at idle. So basically you want to turn the car on, there should be an oil temperature screen on the display that you can watch. You want to get the Ferrari to about 90 degrees oil temperature. Basically while it's idling, you want to check the oil level. When the oil's come up to temperature, you want to check the oil level while the car's running. So remove the cap. You've got 2 points on the dipstick, is a low and a max. You want the oil level to be in there. I think between the medium and the max, it's basically a justification of 2 liters of oil. So you want to be basically within those two. You don't want to fill beyond the max level, so make sure you're between the 2 points in the dipstick. So as long as it's below the max level, you're going to be well and good. Basically, if you know that it takes around about 10 liters, you shouldn't have overfilled it anyways. But again, like I said, put about 9 in because you're not going to get all the engine oil out. Run the car and check those levels. That's the safest way to do it. I'm not going to bore you with putting the under tray back on. I will do that. If I find that it is hard or in a way different from removing it, obviously it is going to be a little bit more finicky with those vents to put it back in. But if I find that it just doesn't go on, I will put that in the video. If you don't see it, just reverse the procedure that I just showed you. I hope that helped you guys, and look out for my other videos as well. There is obviously changing an air filter on the 458 as well. That may help some of you guys that want to do a few little bits and pieces, and there will be a carbon fiber one where I do basically swap some of the original factory parts out for carbon fiber upgrades. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Hope it helped out. Thanks for watching.